Welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and we're on episode 256. And we're going to make this another update episode.
Yeah, that is right. We are doing another update episode. And as you guys see, again, we're doing this kind of remote. This time, at least I'm not in my car. That's nice. But
that is true. Or maybe you are.
Maybe I am. Yeah, you can't. I mean, as far as you know, I'm in a thrift store right now, just taking a break from sourcing. So we
real quick. Video. Have you seen those videos on TikTok where there's a guy like he was doing these Zoom meetings, but he's like going down water slides and he has like the Zoom background in the back. So like it looks all normal until like the final splash at the end. Oh, they're classic. He's done like jet skiing. He's done like boat riding. Oh, it's awesome. Anyways, all right, what are you saying now?
But yeah, so anyways, we're recording remote today. And so it might be a little bit before we're both back in the studio recording, but I have a feeling that our normal Saturday and Monday episode should be good this week. So thank you, all of you who are Pure Hustle Podcast supporters, and you recognize this isn't our normal, but this is still good because we're still at least able to produce some content. And again, if you are listening and you're not watching, things are a little bit different. The intro is a little bit different, but I really like that intro, man. I almost feel like that just needs to be our new. It just gets me so much more pumped. I mean, the old.
I don't know. I miss the old one. Let us know in the comments. Do you want the original intro or do you want this new heavy beat? Like, I don't know. It's a good beat. I like it. But I don't know. I still miss the original intro. So let us know in the comments.
That's true. But all right. So update episode. So what's the review?
So we got a lot to talk about, but before we start, I just want to say thank you to everyone that continues to support us. We've seen that we've gotten some new members on buymeacoffee.com/Pure Hustle that just signed up in this past week. So thank you all. If you do not know what we're talking about, so a way to say thank you to Pure Hustle Podcast. If there's any content that's helped you out, or if you want to be part of our monthly just quick Zoom calls where we do like a virtual meetup, you can sign up at buymeacoffee.com/Pure Hustle. Link is below. And you can sign up for a yearly membership, a monthly membership, or you can just say, hey, thank you guys. Here's a couple cups of coffee. But it really helps us, allows us to keep the lights on, allows us to stay mobile when we need to stay mobile and continue the podcast. Because despite everything that, has been taking place with all of us in the last couple of weeks, we're still dropping the podcast consistently. So that's a good thing. And so thank you so much. Again, that's buymeacoffee.com/Pure Hustle. All right. So what's been going on with me? Well, it's been an interesting 2 weeks. Just a lot going on. If you guys don't know, I am a full-time reseller, and my side hustle is teaching. And so I've had that come up where I've taken on more classes to teach, and I only teach once a week. I just teach a specialized class. So I have like 3 classes that I teach. But it took some time out. It's been the first time that I actually had to put reselling to the side and focus on that. Just because I wanted to make sure I'm growing that side business too. And it's not like a side business, it's what I love doing, but I do it because I want to, not because I have to. And reselling's allowed me to do that. But, Mike, it's funny. I got a little bit of flack because, I don't know if I was complaining about sales, but, sales have been kind of slow. And I've always been saying there's no summer slowdown. And, I had mentioned on the last episode that I may need to go nuclear and like have a major sale. Well, I didn't go nuclear, but here's what's crazy. I put my entire store at 25% off for like a few days, and instantly it's like somebody turned on the faucet and sales just started coming through like crazy. And so I don't know what it does. I don't know because I've always had 15%, like all the time, 15%, like it just rotates 15%. And just upping that 10%, maybe it brings other people out of the woodwork. I don't know. When I look at people having sales, maybe because I'm a reseller, I already know what's going on. Like, I'm pretty sure that they paid $5 for that, and then putting it at 30% isn't that big of a deal. But yeah, the sales just started coming in. And here's the interesting thing with that is that I didn't list. I didn't list for an entire week. And I had more sales out a week that I was not listing at all than I had on all the previous weeks that I was listing consistently. Now, argument could be made that all the work I had been doing the previous weeks had allowed for that buildup and eventually led to all those sales. I don't know.
I'm sure that's part of it. I'm sure. I mean, I think there is something to be said about the fact that listing consistently, it does two things. One, it gets more items in your store that people could potentially look at, and then two, eBay could bump your store up a little bit more in the search results. However, if you've got items people are listing, because that's the argument everybody makes, like it doesn't matter as long as you've got items people are looking for, and that's absolutely true. If you've got the only 49ers jacket of starter jacket that someone's looking for, it's not going to matter if you haven't listed in a month or two. If you're the only one with that jacket, that's what they're going to search and find and buy. So having items in the store, but I think a big part of it too is we're seeing, I think, and we talked about this a little bit during our Buy Me a Coffee meetup, but I think that even though it's not technically a stimulus, but the tax credit, the upfront tax credit that a lot of people are getting for their kids is allowing more discretionary funds in people's pockets, right? So if, for instance, if you're a family of four, you're getting like an extra $1,200 a month right now. That's extra money that people are able to spend because some people need that. They might have lost a job or something. Other people, things are normal. Things are just going normally, and that's just money that they now have. So I think that that's kind of working to stimulate. People are buying. And so that discretionary money is going to go towards the things that are the things we sell, right? Where someone's like, I've always wanted this hat, or I've always wanted this, whatever. And then also back to school, right? That's a good time for selling if you're selling those types of things. It's kind of like a little mini Q4 if you've got some backpacks and you've got that kind of stuff. So I definitely see this being a time of people buying. Summer slowdown hopefully is slowing, and we can get back into normal sales.
Yeah, no, I think there's part of that, and I think the other part is I think people are starting to shop early for Christmas. I think about it. We're almost in September, which is wild to think about. And on the other side, so this is the other part I had mentioned. I was going to go back into Amazon because I needed to do what pays the bills, and I didn't do anything. I had items listed on Amazon probably for the last month and a half, and I had it listed at a certain price, and then out of nowhere, sale upon sale upon sale upon sale upon sale. So I think both of those came together. And to me, if this is how it's going to be, now, I can only imagine how it's going to be in 2 months with everything that's going on. I do anticipate, we don't know what's going on. I mean, right now we're in we're not a political show, but there's a lot going on, in the world right now with, current events and on a macroeconomic level. And so who knows where we're going to be in a couple months as far as economy wise, but as long as, the economy stays kind of how it is right now, I think we're going to have a pretty intense Q4 because the level of buying that's happening right now, it's not at Q4 level yet, but I haven't seen this kind of buying not until the end of October, and we're not even into September yet. So not end of October, like mid-October before the rush. The major rush obviously is first 2 weeks of December, maybe even the last week of November. So remember that, you guys will hear a lot on social media, people talking about Q4, especially with Amazon. And you might buy a bunch of stuff and it's like it's Black Friday. You're like, why isn't anyone buying? It's because that's not when the prime time is for Q4. The prime time for Q4 is the first 2 weeks of December. Honestly, I would say probably like 70 to 80% of my Q4 sales happen in 2 weeks. It's insane. So I do think people are buying early. I think that's one of the major components. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So yeah. And sales picked up for you a little bit. We were talking the other day. Kind of picked up.
Yeah, I mean things are starting to go up. I haven't gotten. So last week I talked about getting into routine. I feel like my routine is really starting to pick up. However, last week my wife pulled something in her back, and I guess that's relatively common for women shortly after giving birth. They don't have that core strength. The abdomen muscles aren't tight enough yet, and so she was picking something up and tweaked her back, and there was a good 5 days where she couldn't even get out of bed. She couldn't stand, she couldn't walk, and so with me being back at school, luckily her mom is there to help her some, and she lives real close by. But even still, during times when I'm off of work and I'm home, I need to step up and be there for my oldest son and the youngest one, right? And do things around the house. So it kind of messed up some of the routine as far as listing and things like that. Now, I did have a day where I was planning on taking a bunch of pictures, and we bought a new generator. We ended up using that generator for our RV, and we took the old generator that we had, which was kind of acting up a little bit, and I used that at the shed, our new reselling shed. And I think that new generator, or the old generator, has finally kicked the bucket. I couldn't get it to start. So I spent like a good 40 minutes that I was supposed to be taking pictures because I need the power in order to have the light box work. And I just couldn't get the generator to start. So I need to get a new generator for our reselling shed. Even without listing, we were getting a lot more sales. So like you, haven't listed in a little while, but still having sales coming in. Some of them are, you could tell, back to school sales. Some of them are, fun discretionary sales, maybe early Christmas sales, things like that. So definitely getting some more sales. It would be nice if we were listing too. We'd probably even have more sales than we currently have. But I didn't waste that time. So even though I don't have power in my shed, other than my solar lights, which are just like overhead lights, not enough for the light box, but I was able to get more things organized. I have like another little small metal storage shed by my RV that I have just personal stuff in. And a lot of my tools, or all my tools, are in there. And as I'm sourcing for tools, if you haven't seen my how to source for tools for eBay, selling on eBay, I've kind of gotten into looking for tools at garage sales, thrift stores, estate sales, those types of things. And I'm starting to get a pretty good collection. So I'm kind of going through, like, replacing some of my tools with better tools. And then when I have duplicates, like, okay, let's get these organized so I can list and sell on eBay. So I've utilized the time well. I feel like once I do start listing, I've got a better foundation. Things are organized. Things are good to go. But I'm glad that sales are coming in, and maybe I'm kind of glad that I didn't list a bunch with my wife injuring her back, because she helps a lot with the reselling. So if we had a whole bunch of sales, it would be all on my shoulder. And that's one of the things I realized about reselling is working for yourself has a ton of benefits, right? There's a lot of pros for working for yourself. However, there's a lot of the deferred benefits that you kind of are losing, right? So things like 401k, you've got to do your own saving for retirement, which is perfectly fine. But also things like insurance and sick time, right? So if something happens, right, you can take sick time at a normal job. You say like, hey, I built up 2 weeks of sick time. I'm going to take this time off. I'm still getting paid. It's not a hiccup, right? Or even something like FMLA, right? But if you are a part-time or full-time reseller and something happens, you're kind of stuck, right? Like, you're going to lose money. You can't really just like tell eBay, like, hey, I'm going to take a 2 week sick time. Like, please pay me my normal. And you might still be getting sales, right? So if let's say you get really sick for a week or two, or something happens, you injure your back and you're having a hard time, sales have still come in. You've got to figure out how to get those taken care of, right? So you can't just, unless you've got somebody you can call and say, hey, can you help me with these shipments? You're kind of in a tough position. So working for yourself has some of those downfalls. So that's one of the reasons we talk a lot in PRSO podcast of kind of preparing for when those things happen, right? There's going to be black swans you can't expect, but you've got to know, like, at some point I'm probably going to be sick or injured or something. Do I have somebody I can call who can help out? Do I have a backup plan? Do I have enough savings so I can take a week or two off and be okay, right? So those are things that you kind of have to be thinking about before you just jump in full-time reselling, because those are unexpected costs.
No, 100%. I can tell you, as a full-time seller, I mean, the moments that I've been sick and the sales come through, you have no options. Like, it's not like you can go, oh, I'll ship those out in 3 or 4 days, or I'll ship those out in a week. And that's something you got to consider. If you're going to go full-time, you got to consider the fact of either A, you need to come up with a backup plan in case anything happens, or B, if there is no backup plan, it's going to be you, right? And I will tell you, that's one of the things I do miss. It was beautiful. I mean, especially when, I was a salaried employee. It didn't matter if I was sick for a week or 2 weeks or 3, right? The paycheck still came in. It didn't matter. And I didn't have to do anything for that paycheck. But yeah, when you're a full-time reseller, there's no options. And one thing I did add before we move on to random stories is one of the reasons I believe that the sales started coming through is I was accepting offers. Okay, so it was very rare that I was turning away a sale. I had some lowball offers that were less than 50%, or maybe they were around 60, and I just thought, no, it's not worth it to me to sell it and pack it. You got to think about that too. I had some big electronic items that people were lowballing on, and for me, it was like, oh, the pain of packing that, they need to pay up. And so the fact that I kept accepting sales and sales kept coming through, it's just like a snowball. It just keeps building and building and building. And so, I mentioned before how, yes, listing is a key component. But I do know of individuals, a friend of ours that listens to the podcast, that he admitted to me, I think it was a few weeks ago, before he moved from California, he admitted to me, because I asked him, I said, hey, how's eBay sales going? And they're like, great. I'm like, oh, so you've been listing consistently? He's like, I haven't listed in 6 months. Now, I'm not recommending for that to anybody. He did have a large store and so on. But you're right. If you have the items that people are looking for, and if you are consistently selling through, I think that helps in the algorithm more than consistently listing. But I could be wrong. But listing is a component. I think if you stop listing, eventually the sales will eventually decline and not even happen to a certain point. But I've been there before, where as long as I kept, for example, let's say, I think it was about 6 years ago, I was in New York and DC, part of a school trip for a whole week. And I didn't list for the entire week, but every day I kept accepting sales, and I kept getting more sales and more sales and more sales. Just because I was gone, I didn't want things to slow down. And so I truly believe it wasn't because of me, having this problem of not listing on the road. It was just the fact that I just kept accepting offers that sales coming through, and eBay keeps pushing you up because they like sales, right? They want the fees, they want the return back. And so if you're selling items, I do believe the algorithm pushes you to make more sales. All right, let us know your thoughts below. Have you had a moment where you just didn't list, but sales kept coming through, and maybe part of that was because you were accepting those sales? All right, you got any random stories, Mike?
Nothing super exciting, but several episodes back, I talked about kind of a risky big purchase that I made at a garage sale. It was another reseller, and they were selling some of their inventory, and I found they were like DJ equipment, and they were kind of small components. They were for like lighting, so it's like a light controller that you plug in different lights in, and then it hooks up, I don't know, it's to a computer or it's programmed itself, I don't know, but so you can do like crazy strobe light things.
Okay.
And there was, I think, like 15 of them plus a couple of other items that were similar, other DJ equipment, but like 15 of the same, and then a few other things. And I don't remember exactly what I paid, but it was somewhere between like $10 to $15 each. I saw they're kind of slow movers, but they were kind of moving on eBay for like $40 each plus shipping. And so it's kind of like, hey, if I can essentially get 20 items, I just got to sell like 10 of them, and I'm going to be able to, the rest will be profit. Well, I've had them for several months now, and I'd only sold one, right? So I'm like, oh man, like maybe this was a bad buy, right? Like it's nice when you can do a bulk buy, you get a bunch of stuff. And with only that one selling, it was kind of like, oh, what do I do? Like I'm kind of stuck with these. But I've had a couple more come through in the last few weeks. And so now it's like, okay, it almost just validates that, okay, this was a good purchase. These might be slow. It might be 2 years before I see the full profit on them. But when all is said and done, I should be able to make like $400 off of them, right? Which, again, isn't huge, but it's one listing, right? Like you make one listing, you put them all up, and then the nice thing is I know what size box they fit in. I know all of that is easy to do. So even if it takes the 2 years to get that $400, that's still a win. And now that I'm seeing a couple of sales so far, I've had like 4 sales of them. It's like, okay, like I'm halfway to breaking even, and I made the right choice, right? So even if it's a little bit before I fully get that profit. So I guess just the random part of that is sometimes you make a purchase and you're not 100% sure, like, is this going to pay off? Was it a bad move? But one of the nice things about having a big enough inventory, having a big enough store that you've got some free capital you could play with is you can jump on those opportunities when they come up. You're not so afraid to say, hey, I'm going to make a $200, $300, $400, $500 purchase, knowing that this might take a couple of years before I see the profit from it. But if you've got enough of those going, then you've always got that cash flow. You're always rolling, things are going good. And even if this was a bust, I've had enough things where, I buy something else for $5 and I sell it for 300, and I'm like, worst case scenario, if none of these other things sold, like I broke even, you'd rationalize it like that. So, just kind of glad to see some things moving that I wasn't really expecting to. I was kind of like, bad choice, maybe, I don't know. And now I'm like, all right, it's a good choice.
It's nice when it randomly picks up and you're like, all right, it was still worth picking up. So,
yeah.
So
what about you?
I had a couple things. So what I did notice is upping my my sales to 25% brings a different kind of buyer. And so, which I'm not a fan of, because I've always said this. I believe that people that are lowball buyers uh, are the biggest problems. A lot of people always say don't sell to people with zero feedback. I disagree with that. I find that most time people that are zero feedback are just people that they needed to find something. They've never bought anything on eBay, and they just went on eBay and they just bought it, and that's it. Now, there could be scammers, okay? But for the most part, I've never had any issues. The ones that I have the issues with are people that either don't want to, they don't want to pay for the shipping, right? You'll get the message after the fact, right? You sell something, they're like, hey, can you lower the price on the shipping? It's like, no, you already agreed to it, and that becomes an issue. But what I find is now that my prices are a little lower than usual, first of all, I'm getting all kind of lowball offers, right? Because people are now going to offer even lower than before, right? Because the price is cheaper. And then I'm getting, I've gotten messages. I'll give you an example of one, and I've gotten multiple scenarios like this. I sold a pair of shoes, a pair of boots for $50, and it was $50 plus shipping. And, again, I can go on my rant about that eBay needs to make sure that people pay right away. But I'll give you how that worked out for me in a moment too. And so, this individual, they bought it and they didn't pay for it. Then out of nowhere, and this is why I wish eBay would just take care of this payments thing. I get a message of like, hey, would you be willing to take, remember they paid, they bought it for 50 plus shipping. They're like, hey, can I take, what are the sizes on these? I'm like, what? So I messaged them back. I'm like, it's in the description. They're like, okay, hey, how are the soles on these shoes? The pictures are in the description. They're like, hey, are you willing to take 40 plus shipping? I thought you already paid for this. And I haven't heard nothing. It's just sitting there. It's in the nether. And so it's just going to sit there. So I think I'm just going to, what I've been doing, and I'm not recommending people do this, but sometimes people that don't pay right away, I'll just cancel it and I'll just relist. Because I just don't have the time to wait for that person, especially when it's a high price item that I accepted less. Now, this wasn't a high price item, but I've had several messages like that where people will send me a lower offer and I'll accept it, and then they want even a lower offer after the fact, which doesn't make any sense to me. Now, here's an interesting one. So I had a sweater that I had cross-posted on both eBay and Poshmark. And on eBay, I accepted an offer of $50 for it. And then on Poshmark, you can't, once somebody buys something, they have to automatically pay. So somebody bought the same sweater for $85, right? Well, unfortunately, I didn't have that sweater in stock anymore because, well, even though it's sold on eBay, somebody's going to pay $85 for it on Poshmark. And I don't know when the transactions happened. I just remember I looked at my phone. I had the sweater sold for $50 on eBay, and then I got an email like, hey, please ship this out. It just sold. And I didn't look at the times. I just looked at the price. And so I messaged the person on eBay. I'm like, and they didn't pay right away. If they paid right away, they would have gotten the sweater for $50, but they didn't pay right away. And so the Poshmark person, I think it's the same person, paid the $85 because Poshmark makes you pay right away. And so I messaged on eBay. I said, hey, I'm sorry, this item is no longer available. You're welcome to anything in my store for 15% off, or we can cancel the transaction. And so eventually the transaction got canceled. And then I think the person figured things out and canceled on Poshmark. I'm like, all right, whatever. So then I'm like, do I relist on eBay or do I just keep it on Poshmark? Right? Because this person, they really want this. And so I never put it back on eBay. I put it back on Poshmark and it's sold again for $85 within an hour. And then I got a message, please don't ship this. This item the sale has been canceled. So the same person canceled it again. And I think they're waiting for me to put it back on eBay. And then I just relisted it on Poshmark for the same price. And eventually I think they're just like, whatever. And they bought it at $85 on Poshmark. And so again, this is, I wonder how many times eBay loses sales because they're not willing to get people to pay right away. Yeah. Right? Poshmark gained that sale because it was not an issue. It was not a problem.
Yeah, it's very true. Friends of ours, they don't like resell big time, but they do some Poshmark. And she texted my wife a couple days ago and basically said, hey, like I'm trying an item, a jacket on eBay, because it's kind of a higher price item, and she's had that problem where like 3 or 4 people have bought it and not paid, and she's like, "Is it always like this on eBay?" And I'm like, "Oh, some of it's because you're a new seller. I feel like new sellers kind of get hit harder by potential scammers." And then I mean, because she primarily does Poshmark, she's used to somebody buys it, they pay right away, and so especially I feel like the higher price items a lot of times. When we sold that Montclair jacket, I feel like we sold it 4 times before somebody actually paid for it on eBay, right? Where
I remember that.
So had it have sold on Poshmark, it would have been a one and done thing. But I mean, it's definitely frustrating. I mean, luckily, I don't feel like I have too many unpaid items compared to the number of sales I have, but any of them are, even one's too much, right?
Yeah, I agree. But anyways, hey, I'm happy I got a bigger sale. Hey, eBay non-payments worked out for me, so I'm good with it. And cross-posting worked out for me. So there you have it. Now, I wanted to share this real quick. We talk about pirate ship a lot, but pirate ship saves you so much money if you do it right. So I think I've put this warning out. Like, if you sell globally, eBay Global Shipping Program is great because you can ship to Kentucky. But if you sell something domestically and it goes to Puerto Rico, man, you can be in for a lot of hurt if the item does not fit in a flat rate box. If it's if it's calculated shipping, you should be all good. But here's what happened. So if you guys are following us on Instagram, I had sold that. I had this huge train set. And so it was this Christmas holiday train set, and I had like 5 other cars with it, and it was going to go in a massive box. Well, I accidentally put the wrong dimensions. I think I was off by like, I don't know, 5 inches and like maybe, I think it was like 5 pounds or something. And the problem is to the ship priority would have been like $500 something or something like that, right? Which was crazy. And so there's no way. And now I didn't have it at priority. I had it at ground. But here's the issue is that since I put the dimensions wrong, it was going to cost me, I was going to lose probably like I was going to lose like $200 in shipping. All right. So I went through eBay, and eBay UPS ground would have cost me $320 to ship. Right. And we're talking about a massive box, right? I think it was like a 26 by 20 by 20 box or something to that effect. And so I was like, I wonder if pirate ship works for bigger items, right? Because we always use pirate ship for like smaller items, like cubic rate shipping, anything less than 18 by 18 by 18, we do box in a bag. So I went on pirate ship and I put the dimensions, and sure enough, it was only $210 to ship USPS parcel or parcel, whatever you want to call it. Parcel, okay? Or how do you say it, Mike? Correct me here.
Parcel?
Parcel, there you go. Sorry, okay? My Latin accent gets in the way, all right? Parcel, okay?
Parcel.
There you go, parcel. And so $210 in comparison to $320. So in the end, I ended up only losing $30 because the person paid about $180 for shipping. I ended up having to pay $210, and that was with insurance on the item. And so this is just a heads up. Pirate ship not only works for cubic rate shipping of smaller items, but it can work on those supersized parcel items that you guys ship through the USPS. And you know what concerned me too was when I went to the post office and I dropped it off, the postal workers are like, "Are you sure that's the right dimensions? Are you allowed to ship that through USPS?" And I was like, well, it went through. And they're like, "Well, are you sure that it's not over 130 inches around?" Because the total, so basically it can't be more than 130 inches for USPS retail ground all around. And it wasn't even that. It was like less than 100, and it was less than 70 pounds. It was 30 pounds. And so I kind of got scared because when I checked my tracking, all it said is post office is in possession. And that's how it is with parcel. It'll do that for a few days. And then out of nowhere, it finally said processed through Los Angeles. And then I checked today and it said it's processed through Jacksonville. And hopefully it'll be in Puerto Rico here pretty soon, and we should be all good. So by the way, check out Pirate Ship if it's a larger item and you're just stuck. I'm always a big fan of using FedEx. I'm always a big fan of using UPS. But, sometimes Pirate Ship might be the way to go. And remember, if it's a P.O. box, you're stuck because FedEx and UPS
Think you have what it takes to build a business in the firearms industry? After starting a business from ground zero and going on to dominate the marketplace, Steve Schabacker shares his wisdom on the Tactical Entrepreneur podcast and interviews iconic figures in the firearms industry. Looking to exercise your Second Amendment rights and help others do the same? Learn how to start a business and make a difference in your community. It all starts in your mind, and this show will give you what it takes to overcome your limiting beliefs and get moving. Subscribe to the Tactical Entrepreneur podcast now and make sure you don't miss an episode. Tune in every Monday morning for a new episode where Steve breaks down how you can build a business and make your goals into reality.
This won't go to PO boxes, so it may behoove you to actually make sure you go. Did I just say behoove you? Anyways, all right. All the education words. It may be a good thing for you to go over and check out a Pirate Ship. So,
nice.
Oh, have you lost money shipping to Puerto Rico before, Mike?
Yeah. We didn't have it selected that wasn't one of the places we shipped to, and yeah, we definitely have lost money a couple of times shipping to Puerto Rico.
Again, if it's calculated, you should be good. If you're doing flat rate, it should be good. It's if you're doing free shipping or calculations are off that it can really hurt you. So, yep. All right. Hey, before we keep moving on, also another reliable product that we use all the time is AmericanBubbleBoy.com. I've been using a lot of AmericanBubbleBoy.com lately and bubble wrapping, and I like the huge 4-foot roll that I have that gives me 750 square feet of bubble wrap. And it's only $39.99, and it's free shipping. Next day, 2-day, you could do local pickup if there's a warehouse near you, but it's totally been worth it. I'm actually going to order some more as we're entering Q4. But if you haven't checked out AmericanBubbleBoy.com, definitely worth your time. Check the link below, and make sure you use the link below for AmericanBubbleBoy.com, because that is the best way to help us out, because it also helps us if you use our link, and it also helps you because it gets you to that discount. Because if you try to go through Amazon, it's more expensive. But if you go directly through the link for AmericanBubbleBoy.com in our description below, you can definitely get that deal. All right. Hey, also, if you haven't been following us on social media, Pure Hustle Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We are Pure Hustle Cast on Clubhouse and Twitter. Make sure, if you haven't yet caught us on YouTube and you're listening to podcasts, we really appreciate it if you jump on over and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, and smash that like button to let other people know that you enjoy the podcast and maybe people should entertain it. The biggest thing to help us on YouTube is if we keep ending up on people's recommended, because the more people watch, the more people do the thumbs up, the better it is for us. So please jump on over to YouTube. As always, you can give us a call, 619-738-1170. That's 619-738-1170. Or you can shoot us an email at purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. That's purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. And as always, we want to say thank you to everyone that continues to support us through the reviews on iTunes. And even if you don't listen to us on iTunes, if you jump on over to iTunes and write a review for us, it definitely helps us out. Our review, we're at 489 reviews. We're almost the 500 club. I mean, seriously, last time I think there's a major jump. And so we are grateful. I want to read the last three, if you don't mind, Mike. If you write the reviews, it really helps us because people know what to expect, right? What they're looking for, right? Because the 5 stars is great. I think we're going to be permanently in the 4.9, Mike, because we keep getting 5 stars, right. But it's just... Who's
gonna hate, man?
Man, it hurts my soul. All right, so this is from Brilliant Girl. Brilliant Girl, great for resellers of all levels. Brilliant Girl wrote, good information and positive energy from these guys, whether you're new to reselling or an OG. You're bound to learn something new from Mike and Orlando. Thanks for putting out this pod. Well, thank you, Brilliant Girl. Appreciate that. This comes from Sunshine Twin Mom. I said, learned so much. And they stated, I have been reselling part-time since 2007. When I discovered PHP a couple of years ago, I was encouraged and educated to kick it up a notch. I highly recommend this podcast. I have dabbled in creating information products in another industry, and the amount of time it takes is overwhelming. The work you two do to put this podcast together is much appreciated. I'm headed to buy a coffee next. Well, thanks so much. No, seriously. I wonder if your username is the same on buymeacoffee.com/purehustle for the coffee that you bought. So I got to get over there. I always try to say thank you to everyone. It's been a minute, but I need to go over there. So thank you so much. And we'll read one more. This one comes from California, like you're foraging. It says, if you teach a man to fish, great show, good for the beginner and experienced reseller. I would like it if you just gave me the fish, though. Go ahead, keep your secrets. #500 Club. So that's pretty good. No, hey, I'm not about secret. I mean, yeah, we don't share everything, but again, since day one, we've always been about helping you guys learn how to resell. Because if all we did is drop bolos all day long, eventually, if those bolos don't work out, and you need to find out how to get those bolos, how to figure out what is a bolo, how to source the bolos. And so really appreciate those honest reviews. It's grateful. So just grateful. So, all right. Are you ready?
Yeah. So our next section is everybody's second favorite, because bolos is the most favorite. But things are happening in the resale world. The audio might be really loud.
That was a weird laugh, but man, that came out of that was loud.
Yeah, sorry. I because we're doing this remote, I have to kind of do it a little bit differently, and it's louder. So I didn't get to do my whole good talk over, but live from the underground bunker, we've got Orlando. I'm out in the field. What's going on?
All right. So those of you that sell sports cards, this is old news, but I just wanted to share this in case you didn't know. So eBay shilling. Have you ever had people back in the day do eBay shilling, Mike? Not that I'm asking to confess to a crime, but
I mean, I'm sure people have done it on some of. I mean, I don't know. I've never done it. So.
All right, so this took me back to my college days. So, real quick, so eBay ended their relationship with a card company, PWCC, which is the largest, I think, card seller of trading cards on eBay, right? And so they sent this message out. I didn't get it because I don't sell cards, but they basically said recently it was determined that individuals associated with the trading card seller PWCC have engaged in shill bidding, which is prohibited on eBay. All right, and so it's a huge deal, because a lot of people had actually DM'd us when we posted this on Instagram that they always thought it was crazy how high the prices went on items when it was through PWCC in comparison to other sellers. So let me give you a simple example of bidding in case you don't know what I'm talking about. So I had mentioned back in the late 90s when eBay first started, when I was in college, my buddy was big on eBay. And what he would do is he would list something and he would tell all of us, hey, man, let's go to the computer lab and can you guys bid on my item so bids go up? That's shill bidding. Now, I'm pretty sure it wasn't like – what's that?
Yeah, basically, I mean, just you're breaking out a little bit, not too bad, but just to clarify. Yeah, so shill bidding, it's when it's a fake bid, right? Like, somebody really wants it and you got somebody else, they bid $10 and you've got your friend bid $11 because you wanted to go up to 12, right? There might not be another interested buyer. So by creating that fake interested buyer, you're driving a price up when they might be able to potentially get the item for less, right? So this would be something that would happen just on an auction, not on a buy it now, which is why I don't really experience or have to worry about, being accused of shill bidding, because I don't even do that. So
it just, to me, it was just wild, because I was like, I have not heard that term in a long time. And so I was just like, huh. I mean, I joke around on Instagram that just like baseball cards have come back, so has shill bidding, because shill bidding, I think, happened a lot in the early eBay days, because I don't know how eBay tracked that, right? I mean, we were able I think we've passed statute of limitation. It wasn't that we were just selling like the sweaters, but we would all sit in the lab and we'd just like click, 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 and sometimes somebody in the lab would win the item. So, it just happened. I mean, and it only happened like a handful of times. But the other crazy thing about this is I don't have the time to go into all the news stories, but there's discussion about like card cutting that's been taking place. So if you don't know what card cutting is, when you take a card out of a package, out of a graded package, and then you cut it and you like alter it so it ends up in a better condition, and you resend it to get graded again, and then it gets graded at a higher number. And so there's been some talk about that with PSA and other grading companies. So yeah, the whole industry is kind of getting rocked right now. And
I kind of don't understand how that works. I feel like anything you do to a card is going to make it worse, right? Like,
but there are people that are really good at doing stuff. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I think there was one guy was like former NFL player. I mean, I don't have the time to go into the whole news story, and I don't know all the details, so I don't want to misspeak. But there's so you have to remember, grading of cards is subjective, right? I mean, we can claim objectivity, right, and everything, but I mean, sometimes somebody might get an 8 or a 9, and that 8 could have been a 9, or that 9 should have been an 8, right? It's based on the grader, right? And now there are objective standards. But for example, I mean, there have been high profile celebrities that have bought cards, and they've had it was like an 8, and then they sent it in and they get it back and it's like a 9 or a 10. And it's like, how does that happen? Right. And I don't know, let us know in the comments below. I'm not too familiar with this, but I know this was happening even back when I was a kid, when I used to do baseball cards during the junk wax era, when there was too many baseball cards in circulation. But anyways, to me, it's a big story. Again, I don't think baseball cards are going anywhere soon for right now. Just like I don't know about NFT pet rock selling for $100,000 right now. Who knows what's going on in our economy right now? But just keep an eye, because the sport card market, if there's too many scandals, that could also affect the business overall. But we'll see what happens. All right. Anyways, that was a quick one. All right. So hey, here's a positive news. I want to get into positive news. So eBay, the sneaker guarantee. Have you had any sneakers that you've had? I'm pretty sure. I don't know if you've had that have been over $100 that you've had to send into the authentication places.
No, I have not. I have not done that. I've not been lucky enough to have that high of a sale yet.
Okay. All right. So, hey, we source what we source, and so. eBay, I got to tell you, I am liking it more and more. I think it was a rough start, right? There were delays and things took a while, but it's really nice that whenever I sell any kind of athletic shoe for over $100, number one, I don't have any fees, and two, it gets sent to an authentication location by eBay, and they check it out and they say it's authentic, and I don't get any complaints. I haven't had a single issue yet. And then if it ever gets returned, they send it back to the authentication place. They authenticate the return, and then it gets back to you. So it's been pretty nice. But there was a SneakerCon event in San Jose, and they interviewed one of the execs, the general manager from eBay, Gary Thaniel, and he had talked about. He said, "Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here today. Sales have been great. We are seeing triple-digit growth for the last few quarters here at eBay Sneakers, and I think part of it is largely due to the fact that we've rolled out our authenticity degree. So that means we can inspect sneakers that come through, and we have a program to ensure that consumers are getting." Oh, sorry about that. That's what happens when you go mobile. All right.
All good.
So we'll take that call later. All right. So let me get back to reading. So basically, the general manager was saying that they had triple-digit growth in the last few quarters due to the eBay sneaker guarantee, and I honestly believe this is probably one of the best moves eBay has made in a decade, outside of the send offers. And part of it being is that now, at first people are like, I don't know. And people started sending stuff to StockX and Go and stuff like that. But I think if eBay can keep going with this, I think eBay could, maybe they do. I don't know. Somebody let me know in the comments that sells sneakers for a living. Maybe Matt Klein's listening. But I find that eBay can dominate the space when it comes to sneakers. And again, we have talked about before how we believe that eBay has lost its ability to appeal to the younger generations, but with sneakers, it's a win all around. So I don't know. I thought I share that there. All right. Now some other interesting things here going on around the world. And so We had mentioned before about, retail stores closing down and malls closing down. And guess what Amazon is doing? Did you catch what Amazon, its latest thing that they're doing?
What's that?
They're opening department stores now.
Yeah. I did see that. I knew that was coming. I mean, they've already had like the little mini Amazon stores. Have you ever been in one of those, like at a mall or something?
There's not much to buy,
Right. Well, what they do a lot of times there is they have like a lot of their hot items, their hot books, their hot tech stuff, a lot of Amazon basic stuff. So I feel like that was one of their ways of testing, kind of the market. And the nice thing I think too is you could have stuff shipped there. And scan things and look at reviews. I mean, that was always cool because I feel like when I go into a lot of stores anyways, what I'm doing is I'm looking at an item and then I see what it costs on eBay or on Amazon, and then I want to see what the reviews are, right? So I'm doing that a lot of times anyways. So when you go right into an Amazon store and you can kind of just scan it, you can see the reviews, or it already has on the thing like 3,000 reviews, 4.9 stars, right? Like it'll show you on the items.
That's true. That is true.
Right there. So that was kind of nice. And so it just makes sense that they're going to move into department store realm. I mean, it's going to be a little different because they're kind of going to start competing with things like Walmart and Target. But I'm sure the fact that they're a logistics company is going to give them kind of a heads up, because a lot of what retail is it's just logistics. Can they order the right supplies to the right locations in the right quantities? Can they get it out on the shelves? And the nice thing with Amazon is they already have the data. They already know in this region, people are buying these items. In this region, people are buying these items. Like they already have that data. And so they can easily manipulate or dictate which items go where. So that way in this region, we are already selling and shipping these types of things. So we're just going to stock our store with that, whereas another region might not get that. And so I think that's going to be very beneficial to them. And as long as it doesn't cut into the ability to get Amazon Prime, they kind of did it backwards. I feel like every other company, like Walmart, started in store and then they've tried to break into the online market, whereas Amazon started online and they're moving into the brick and mortar. So it'll be interesting to see which is better. It feels like obviously Amazon controls the online market, even though Walmart is trying to catch up, and Target and these other companies are doing faster shipping, free shipping, those types of things. They still can't compete. So I'm interested to see if it's going to be the same when Amazon goes into brick and mortar, if they're not going to have the infrastructure to do brick and mortar well, or if they're going to end up saying, hey, we can do brick and mortar better than you can do brick and mortar. I
think that's what's going to happen. Even me looking at this, I'm like, I kind of want to go. I have not walked in a department store in years. And usually, if I ever get my kids' clothing, it's usually I order it online, or I just hate going inside department stores. And so it's interesting. They said the stores would be the latest in a series of impersonal retail experiments for the company. The stores will probably be about 30,000 square feet, which puts them in closer scales to the average Best Buy. And then let's see, they're gonna have well-known brands in stock, and they're also gonna have their own line of electronics and other products. And so,
I mean, think about it. They even have things like sizing, right? Like they know, like even if it's clothing, like they know, like this style of clothes, most people buying this thing is, between a size medium and an extra large. Whereas in this region, most of the people buying this is like small to medium. So like they can already kind of tell what sizing they should stock stores. I mean, that just goes to show like the power of information. I think that's where they're going to have the leg up.
Yeah. They're not, I'm pretty sure this took a lot of thought and effort. It wasn't just, something that they just thought about overnight. So we'll have to stay tuned and see what happens. Some people had messaged me like, is this possibly the end of retail arbitrage? I don't think it's the end of retail arbitrage because again, retail arbitrage is more about getting those hot items that you can't find in other places, right? And so retail arbitrage is still going to be a thing. Will they have those hot items in stock in their stores? I don't know. It's possible, but it wouldn't be any different than when Amazon has it in stock online and it plummets the price, right? It'd be the same thing.
They have the buy box. Yeah, exactly. It's just the same thing. Like Amazon loses the buy box on hot items all the time because they don't have it in stock. It'll be the same with store.
Yeah, correct. Now, here's another. So we keep talking about this so much, but I want to reiterate this. Like, I think if we're able, and I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. But one of the items that I'm selling a lot lately is an item that you can't just go to the store and get. And part of it is because of supply chain. And so I think this Q4, if you're able to find those items, they don't even have to be hot items. They have to be, let's say, consistent sellers every Q4, right? Some kind of board game or some kind of toy that is, there's certain things that always sell, right? And I'm just throwing a terrible example out there, like Monopoly, okay? Monopoly, I'm pretty sure, is a game that sells every Christmas, right? There's always the family member that doesn't know what to get, and they're like, oh, Monopoly, that's a safe bet. Well, what if there's a Monopoly shortage, right? Because right now, the supply chains are they're getting rocked. I'm hearing those containers, I think at one point, I don't know, were they $2,000 to $3,000 to use a container? Now they're going for $9,000 to $20,000 for one of those containers. And I just saw another news story come out of China. China supply chain, serious backlog of cargo expected at Shanghai Pudong airports as coronavirus cases divert flights. And so what they're doing in some of these locations is that there just needs to be one case and they'll shut down the entire dock or the entire operation. And I've even read stories about, like in Vietnam, where they're asking employees to sleep in the factory because they don't want people catching it. And so they're keeping everybody self-contained. And so I think, again, this Q4, if you're able to source things now, which again, that's always risky, right? Because you're risking a lot of capital. But if you're able to source things now in anticipation for, a big backlog of items coming in, you might be able to capture some great pricing. But again, there has to be a lot of research done, and it has to be money you're willing, I hate saying this, willing to lose, because whenever you buy early for Q4, you are taking a risk. But for example, there are some toys I've sourced before that have sold every year consistently. Even this last time, I was like, oh no, did I buy a bunch of stuff that I don't think is going to sell? And it started selling. So you just never know. So keep an eye, because I think things are going to get. I really do think sales are going to start heating up here pretty soon. So
yeah, I mean, and even things like weights, for instance, right? Like we had the crazy weight prices last year when gyms were closed. Right now, yeah. I am very confident. I'm pretty certain that there's going to be lockdowns again. If you were in a state or a city that already had lockdowns the last round, mm-hmm. I have a feeling there's going to be lockdowns again. But even if there's not lockdowns, the policies that work now for so many places with mandatory, weekly testing, things like that, and then quarantines that people have to take, even if there's not like hey, gyms have to close down, like that's not mandated. If workers can't get in, right? If it's like, hey, half the staff or half the people who are working at a gym either have to quarantine because they had COVID or are in contact with somebody, then the gyms are going to close again, right? Maybe temporarily, maybe by mandate, maybe just by, hey, we're short staffed, we can't get people to work, right? So when those things happen, there's probably going to be another spike in people wanting home gyms again. So just think about last time anything that was hot. Not only do we have the supply chain break, but there's probably going to be big rushes again if all of a sudden stores have to close down because they have to or because they just don't have employees.
Oh, I hate hearing what you just said, but yeah. The thing is, I'm seeing it more and more that could be a possibility. It'll be great for resellers, I think. I mean, especially if they happen during Q4. But man, if that were to be the case, it's going to be an interesting time again. So
I will.
All right. So welcome to our video now getting pushed down in the YouTube algorithm because we mentioned two words.
Hey, we got to be real, man. We got to be real.
No, we do got to be real. So, all right. Hey, so that's going to end our reselling topics on a good note. So, hey, just be aware. Just be ready this Q4. Just be ready. All right. Now for the section that people are looking for.
That's right. I figured out how to turn the volume down, which I probably could have had the volume up on that one and then turned it down on anyways. Whatever.
Keeps things exciting.
Yeah. So what's your bolo, Orlando?
So I talk about Bose all the time. Right? Well, not all the time, but we've mentioned Bose. But I wanted to mention Bose outdoor speakers. And the way you know that they're outdoor speakers, there's usually like a case around them, and it looks like there's like a little fence over it. I don't know. But what I have found is there's never been a pair of Bose speakers, outdoor speakers, that I have picked up that has not sold within 2 weeks. Every single time I pick Bose outdoor speakers, because sometimes you'll pick up Bose and you're like, oh, you know, I'll list these. Sometimes they take a little bit. But if they're outdoor speakers, they sell pretty quick. And there's several, I mean, I could give you all the numbers on them. I mean, there's a 251. 251 is the major one, but there's also the older ones, the 151s. There's the 51s, which are older than that. But here's the thing. They're outdoor speakers. So sometimes they'll have like a dent. Now, as long as the speaker doesn't have a dent, you're good. But like the casing might have a dent, or it might be a little rusted, or it might, you know, there might be some dirt on it, or it may be the white ones and they're not super clean. Or, you know, there might be some cosmetic issue on the speakers, but even still, they will sell. And so always check comps, but don't hesitate on moving on a pair of Bose outdoor speakers just because you see like a dent on the casing, or just because you see some dirt, or you see some marks, or you can tell that it's been outside for a while. As long as the speakers work, people are generally, you know, they don't care. Now, I don't test these as often. I only test them if it's really rough. You know, like it looks like it's been through a lot, because these are really durable speakers. And every time I've tested them, they've always worked. I've never come across a pair of Bose outdoor speakers that I decided to test that I was like, oh no, this doesn't work. Because what's that?
You just take the chance then?
Yeah, I got free returns, you know. Doesn't work, return it. You know, I mean, it is what it is. You know, I know I'm going to get some heat for that in the comments, but you know, that's why I love free returns. That's one advantage of free returns. But the reason I do that with Bose outdoor speakers is because, again, I've never experienced a set of Bose outdoor speakers that has not worked. So keep an eye on Bose outdoor speakers, the 51s, the 151s, the 251s, or maybe the other models. But I just recently bought a pair for, I think it was like $10. And I sold them within 72 hours for $100 plus ship. So keep an eye. All right, what's your Bolo?
So I've talked about this brand before, specifically when I picked up something. I don't know if it was a Bolo or if it was a like just a story of something I picked up, but I know I've talked about it. So the brand is Schleich. It's a German toy brand, and I see them now in Barnes & Noble. I had never seen them before. But now I see them in Barnes & Noble, and I think I've seen a couple of Schleich stuff at a Target before also. But they're good hard plastic toys, similar, some of them like the construction, the way you can construct certain things like horse pins or farm stuff, as like Playmobil maybe, as far as like, you know, putting stuff together. But there's a lot of like figures, and I have noticed that Schleich toys sell really, really well, and it's like kind of like the I don't even know if so much it's just collectible, but I feel like the sets come and go. And so if you got really into their fairy set, or you got really into their horse set, or whatever the set was, and then now they've got different sets, and maybe somebody lost pieces or they were collecting it. And so even open stuff will sell. I was lucky enough to come across a lot of sealed Schleich toys, which is really nice. But now that I know that this brand, I'm consistently selling the stuff that I was able to kind of bulk buy. I will be on the lookout when I am at garage sales. I typically just quickly go through toys. But the nice thing with a lot of toys, I refer to it as like good plastic. And so you can kind of tell the higher quality toys because the plastic is just like a thicker, harder. It's not hollow. It's a little bit heavier. And so if you just even run your hand through a tote full of toys, you can feel a couple pieces like, hey, like there's some weight to this piece. This piece feels a little bit sturdier. It's not like a hollow McDonald's toy. Then from there, you can look at the brands and see what the brands are, because a lot of times, if it's good quality plastic, and once you feel it, it's like when people say you can just tell when you go to a thrift store if fabric is good fabric, right? Like the more fabric you touch, you can be like, yeah, this is Walmart. Ooh, this feels different, right? This feels nicer. And so same thing with toys. The more you handle higher end toys, the more you can say like, this is good plastic. And so you might even look up and see a brand that you're not familiar with, but find that it's good just by doing the plastic check, right? So Schleich is one of those brands I'm going to be looking out for a little more, as well as just feeling for heavier, nicer plastic when I'm looking at toys at a garage sale.
Nice. All right. So in case you're wondering how to spell Schleich, it's Schleich. Schleich. So I find the same thing with cowboy boots. Like if they're heavier, they're usually worth something, right? And the garbage ones are super light. So no, that's good. That's good. Especially coming into Q4. Yeah, if you can find those toys that are collector, just like a Playmobil, there's a lot of collectors for those toys. All right, what are you looking forward to? Oh, before we look forward to stuff, hey, just wanted to share real quick about one of our sponsors. A lot of you bought some Skull Shaver last month, so appreciate your support. And so I can shave better my Skull Shaver than I can spell. And so I've been using my Skull Shaver on a daily basis, and it's a great tool. Somebody had asked me, they said, "Hey, Orlando, is it as close to a razor? Is it just like a razor?" And my what I would say is it's almost a razor to the point that you can't even tell. You can't even tell. And so, you might be able to feel it a little more, but no, the Skull Shaver is so. And here's the thing: you don't get cut, right? And it's simple. It's very simple. It only takes about 90 seconds to get your whole head, and it's super powerful. So. All I use is Skull Shaver. I have not put a razor to my head in a long time. So again, that if you want to use our promo code to order yourself a Skull Shaver, it is skullshaver.com. And then our promo code is PURE, P-U-R-E. So thanks again, Skull Shaver, for letting us partner with you guys. Yeah. All right, Mike, what are you looking forward to here?
I'm looking forward to going to garage sales. I obviously was not going to go to garage sales this last week when my wife was, hurting so bad. So I had to take care of my family, right? Family always comes first. Health comes first. But I tell you, on Friday when I was driving to work and I'm seeing all these garage sale signs, and then Monday on my way to work, I saw even more in different places. And there were so many garage sales around where I live. So that was a little bit disheartening, kind of felt bad, but it just kind of gave me that motivation of, all right, Friday's coming. I'm going to start planning for my next garage sales, and then Saturday morning will be here. I've already got my money ready to go. I've got my wallet ready. I've got all my camera stuff charged so I can record a video. So I'm excited to hit up them garage sales. What about you?
I kind of have the same thing going, just because I'm only going to be able to garage sale maybe for about another month or so. And I haven't been garage selling lately just because a lot going on, kids' school starting again, just a bunch of life circumstances. And so I'm hoping to get out there for another month because it'd be nice to pick up the inventory. I'm also looking forward to delving more into Amazon. Amazon's been really good to me the last few weeks. What's crazy is last year, remember, I rented a cargo van and I think I paid like $1,700, I would say, for the cargo van. This year, for this pretty much a little bit longer, but not too much longer, the price to rent a cargo van is $4,000.
Just buy one, man.
I know. No. I know. That's where I'm landing because I looked and the problem is I don't want to buy a lemon. And so, I'm probably going to have to, ask one. Was that?
Get an old like E250 diesel or something. I think those ones are diesel. I mean, you can find them that have like 200,000 miles on them already for relatively cheap, but because it's diesel, man, it'll just keep going forever.
Yeah, but see, I'm not a mechanic. I'm terrible with cars, and so, it has to be the reason I rent my vehicles is so I don't have to deal with it. I don't have to fix it. I don't have to worry about it. It's not my problem. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. And I need to get back into being consistent on listing again. I'm grateful for all the sales, but I know things will wind down. And like you, I'm looking forward to getting back into the swing of things. I hadn't talked about this much, but summer is great with my kids, but it's also it affects business because my kids aren't in school, and so my kids aren't in school. I'm spending a lot of time with them, but during the school year, that time usually in the daytime I'm devoting to the business, and so there's a lot of time that I wasn't devoting to business, and I kind of need to get back into that. So. I'm not looking forward to my kids are back in school, but I am looking forward to having the time to strictly focus on the business itself and just get things moving. I'm excited about Q4. I'm looking forward to. I can't believe we're here again. I feel like I don't know. I feel like we're in a perpetual same scenario since the beginning of 2020. But it's okay. I'm willing to end 2021 strong. So we'll see what happens. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in to the podcast. Hopefully we're able to bring you some value. Thank you all for your support. And as always, make sure to be real.
Be relevant.
And be reselling. Late.